The alarm echoed through the concrete training yard just as the sun dipped behind the barracks, turning the dust in the air into a glowing haze. Recruits froze mid-step, boots scraping, breath catching in their throats. Everyone knew what that alarm meant. It wasn't scheduled. It wasn't part of the normal drills. It meant something had gone wrong. Very wrong. The 7-foot soldier stood at the far end of the yard, a mountain of muscle and rage wrapped in fatigues, stretched to tight across his shoulders. His name was Marcus Titan Cole, a veteran transfer known across bases for two things: unmatched physical dominance and an explosive temper that command quietly feared but never officially acknowledged. Tonight, both had finally collided. Someone had said the wrong thing. No one was sure who. No one wanted to admit it. What they did know was that Titan had snapped. He ripped off his helmet and hurled it across the yard, where it smashed against the wall with a sound like a gunshot. Recruits scattered instinctively, training overridden by survival. Boots pounded away from him in every direction. Instructors shouted orders, but their voices were swallowed by the pounding blood in everyone's ears. Titan's breathing was heavy, uneven. His fists clenched and unclenched as if he were deciding whether to crush something or someone. He took a step forward, then another, each footfall sending a vibration through the ground. A few recruits tripped in their panic. Others dove behind obstacles. Fear spread faster than the alarm ever could. Everyone ran. Everyone except one. She stood near the center of the yard, barely noticeable at first. 5 feet tall, maybe less. Narrow shoulders. Rookie fatigues still stiff from newness. Her name was Lena Ortiz, fresh out of basic. The smallest recruit in the entire intake. People remembered her because of her size, because she looked like she'd been dropped into the wrong place by mistake. They whispered about how long she'd last. Most assumed not long at all. When the yard emptied, she was suddenly exposed. A single unmoving figure facing a towering force of anger. Someone screamed at her to move. Someone else shouted her name. An instructor barked an order she didn't seem to hear. Lena didn't run. She didn't raise her hands. She didn't reach for a weapon. She just stood there. Titan noticed her then. His eyes locked onto her small frame, confusion flickering through his rage. For a split second before, hardening into something dangerous. He laughed, a deep, harsh sound that made the air vibrate. "You're brave," he growled, voice rough like gravel dragged over steel. "Or stupid." Lena swallowed, but she didn't step back. Her heart was hammering so hard it felt like it might tear its way out of her chest. But her feet stayed planted. She remembered the words her grandmother used to tell her when fear threatened to paralyze her. If you run, fear chases you. If you stand, fear has to face you too. "I'm not here to fight you," she said. Her voice was calm, shockingly so, though it trembled at the edges. "I'm here to stop this." Titan took another step closer, looming over her now, his shadow swallowing her whole. "You," he sneered. "You think you can stop me?" She tilted her head up to meet his eyes. "No," she said honestly, "but I think you can." That answer threw him off. His brow furrowed, anger colliding with surprise. For a moment, he didn't know how to respond. No one ever spoke to him like that. People challenged him, feared him, obeyed him, but no one appealed to him. Around them, the yard was silent. Even the instructors had paused, unsure whether stepping in would escalate the situation further. Every eye was on the tiny rookie and the giant soldier. "You don't know anything about me," Titan said, his voice lowering. "You don't know what I've seen, what I've lost." "You're right," Lena replied. "I don't, but I know what happens if you keep going. You'll hurt someone. And once you cross that line, there's no coming back." His jaw tightened. His fists trembled. "They already think I'm a monster," he muttered. "What difference does it make?" "It makes all the difference," she said softly. "Because if you stop now, you prove them wrong. And if you don't, you prove them right." Silence stretched between them, heavy and fragile. The wind picked up, carrying dust across the yard. Titan's chest rose and fell, his breathing slowing by degrees. The anger didn't vanish, but it shifted. Tangled now with something else: exhaustion, grief, shame. Lena took a cautious step forward, close enough now that she could see the small scar near his left eye. the tightness around his mouth that had nothing to do with rage. She lowered her voice. "They trained us to be strong," she said, "but they also trained us to protect, including each other." For a long moment, it looked like he might still explode. His muscles tensed and a few recruits flinched from afar, bracing for impact. Then, slowly, Titan exhaled. The sound was long and shaky, like air escaping a punctured tire. His shoulders sagged. He looked away from her, staring at the ground as if suddenly ashamed to be seen. "Get out of here," he said, not unkindly this time, "before I change my mind." Lena didn't move. "I'm not leaving you alone like this," she said, "not after coming this far." That did it. Something inside him broke not violently, but quietly. He dropped to one knee, the massive movement sending another tremor through the yard. His head bowed, hands braced against the concrete. The instructors rushed in then, surrounding them cautiously, weapons ready but lowered. Medics followed. No one touched Titan, no one touched Lena. They didn't need to. The danger had passed. Later, after Titan was escorted away for evaluation and Lena was finally guided back toward the barracks, the base buzzed with whispered disbelief. Stories spread faster than official reports ever could. The tiny rookie who didn't run, the giant who stopped. Some called her fearless, others called her reckless. Lena herself sat on her bunk that night, hands still shaking, wondering how close she'd come to disaster. She didn't feel brave. She felt terrified, but she also felt certain she'd done the only thing she could live with. The next morning, command called her in. She stood at attention in front of a line of officers, expecting reprimand, maybe punishment. Instead, the base commander studied her for a long moment before speaking. "Why didn't you run?" he asked. She answered simply, "Because someone had to stay." The room was quiet. Then the commander nodded once. "Dismissed." Weeks later, word came that Titan had entered counseling and was being reassigned, not as punishment but as part of recovery. Before he left, he asked to see Lena when they met. He towered over her as before, but the rage was gone. "You saved me," he said, voice low. She shook her head. "You saved yourself. I just reminded you who you were." As he walked away, Lena realized something important. Strength wasn't measured in height or muscle or volume. Sometimes it was measured in the courage to stand still when everyone else ran. And from that day on, no one ever underestimated the tiny rookie again.